Okay, so the purpose of this video is for those of you who aren't in class or who might have not gotten all the questions answered in class on your review for your 6 weeks test. All right, so what is the solution to the algebraic equation 3n minus 8 equals 25? Okay, well first I'm going to move this little grid box out of the way and we'll deal with it in a minute. Okay, so in order to know what n is equal to, what the solution is, we have to look at both sides of the equation. I notice that 3 times n, so that 3 is keeping n from being by itself, and the minus 8 is keeping n from being by itself. So I'm going to choose to remove this minus 8 by adding 8 to it, so best making it 0. Okay, what I do to one side of the equation, I have to do to the other. So I add 8 over there, and I now have 3n equals 33. Okay. This 3 times n is still in the way, so I need to get rid of it by doing the inverse operation. The inverse of multiplication is division, so we'll divide both sides by 3. So n equals 11. Okay, so in my box here, I'm going to write plus 11, and I'm going to bubble in the positive, and the 1, and the 1. Okay, let's look at another one. What is the solution to the equation 7 times the quantity of n plus 3 equals to 5n plus 9? All right, a little more complicated than the last one, but I know first thing I need to do is simplify as much as possible, and so I want to get rid of these parentheses by using the distributive property. So that would be 7n plus 21 equals 5n plus 9. Okay, so I've got n's on both sides of the equation, and I've got numbers on both sides of the equation, so I want to move those items so that I only have n's on one side and numbers on the other. I'm going to choose to have my n's over here on the left-hand side, so this 5n needs to go. So I'm going to subtract 5n. Okay, so I subtract 5n here. Since I chose for my n's to be only on the left, my numbers, my constants, need to be on the right, so I'm going to have to subtract that 21. Okay, and I end up with 2n equals negative 12. Okay, then I would divide by 2, because the 2 needs to go. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so that's 1n, or n. And so my final answer, n equals negative 6. So I'd put that in negative 6, just like that, negative, and then 6 is right here. Okay. Alrighty then, number 3, what is the value of r squared minus 4r plus 32 when r is equal to negative 6? Okay, this is not a solve problem. They're asking us for the value, so they want us to evaluate. So evaluations, we replace variables with the value, in this case negative 6. Alright, now at this point I would most likely use my calculator to do the calculations, but since I have failed to open that application up, we'll go ahead and work this one out. So negative 6 squared is 36. Negative 4 times negative 6 would be positive 24. And then plus 32. Then we add 36 and 24, and we get 60. And 60 plus 32 is 92. Okay, so that's positive 92, positive 92. Okay, need to do some moving around here, so just a sec and I'll have this shuffled for us so we can see everything. All right, what is the value of the expression? Negative, that negative should be closer. Negative 2x squared plus x plus 6. Okay, so once again, evaluating, we replace our variables with the number we're looking at, so in this case 3. And again, normally I would use my calculator, just type it in the way it looks, but since I don't have that available, I know that 3 squared is 9, so I have negative 2 times 9 plus 3 plus 6. That's negative 18 plus 3 plus 6, which would give me negative 15 plus 6, which would finally give me negative 9. So negative 9, bubbling negative, and 9. Okay, let's look at some more. Solve x minus 7y equals 21 for y. Okay, this gave y'all some fits before when y'all said for y, you were like, how do we do all that? Remember, the y is just telling me what I want to have by itself. I have a choice between x and y, 2 different variables, so they're telling me go for y. Okay, so once I identify that it's y, I can remove that statement altogether. I don't need it. Okay, so I look, and I have 2 sides to the equation, and here's y, so the x needs to go away if I'm solving for y, so I'm going to subtract x. Subtract x from the other side. So I now have negative 7y, and I look, 21 take away x, that's not going to happen because they're not like terms. So I just write them down. So I have my equals 21 minus x. Then I'm left with negative 7 times y. The inverse operation would be to divide by negative 7. That would give me 1y. So I divide both the terms, 21 and x, by negative 7. So this is y equals 21 divided by negative 7 is negative 3. And negative x divided by negative 7, well, there's an understood 1 there, so that's just negative 1 divided by negative 7, which would be positive 1/7, and then x. If r equals negative 4 and x equals 5, what is the value of the expression? Value of the expression, again, this means we're evaluating, so we're going to replace r with negative 4. We're going to replace x with 5. And then we find our answer. So that's going to be negative 8 minus 5 plus 4, which is negative 13 plus 4, which means our final answer is negative 9. Okay, number 7, what is the value of a in the following equation? So we're looking for a. We have a here and we have a here. Right? So since it says what is the value of a, we might be tempted to come back up and do some substitution, but they did not give us anything to substitute a with. So what we need to know is, since we're looking for the value of a, that's the same thing as saying solve for a. So we first want to simplify our sides as much as we can. So we're going to distribute that 3. We'll have 7a plus 15a minus 3 equals 19. Okay, let me move our little box out of the way and go back to the pen. Alrighty, so we're looking at one side of the equation. This side is still not simplified because I have 2a terms on the same side. So I can go ahead and add those. 7 plus 15 is 22, which makes that simplified at 22a minus 3. I cannot simplify any further, so now I'm ready to move things around. So I just have a's on one side, constants on the other. Okay, well, all my a's are right here in that one spot, that 22a, so I'm going to remove the 3 because I can, and because all my a's are there, my constant is on the other side. So I'm going to add 3 to the right side, and I get 22. So I have 22a equals 22. 22a is 22 times a, so the inverse would be to divide by 22. And 22 divided by 22 is 1, so I have a equals, 22 divided by 22 is still 1. So a equals 1. So in my box that would be positive 1, positive 1. Alright, the sides of a scalene triangle measure 13m minus 2, m plus 5, and 2m minus 1. What is the perimeter of the triangle in terms of m? Right, so this is just saying write the perimeter, but in terms of m. So my sides are 13m minus 2, m plus 5, 2m minus 1. It's a triangle, so it's got 3 sides, so they're all there. Perimeters found by adding. So I'm going to add 13m minus 2 plus m plus 5 and 2m minus 1. I like to write it stacked because that keeps all my parts lined up. If you want to write it out horizontal, you can do that too. Okay, so I could type this in my calculator or do it in my head, but I have negative 2 plus 5, which is 3. 3 plus negative 1 is positive 2. Then I have 13 plus this understood 1 makes it 14. 14 plus 2 is 16. So 16m plus 2. Not too bad. All right, let me move some stuff around. We got a lot of junk going on here. Oops, oh, I can't move that one. Okay. Just move that down. The length of a rectangle is 6x minus 3 and the width is x minus 9. What expression represents the perimeter P of the rectangle? Again, perimeter, it's a rectangle, so it has 4 sides. They only list 2. Well, I know on a rectangle, each side has a mirror image or a line directly across from it, parallel to it, that is the same. So I actually have 2 sides that are 6x minus 3 and 2 sides that are x minus 9. Perimeter still means to add up all the sides, so we do that here. Negative 3 plus negative 3 is negative 6, plus negative 9 is negative 15, plus negative 9 is negative 24. Then we have 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 1 is 13, plus 1 more is 14. So 14x minus 24 is my answer. What is the value of x in the equation? Okay, so this is like the one over here where it says what is the value of a, so we're solving. So we're going to look at both sides of the equation. I notice this side is simplified, this side is simplified. I'm ready to move things around. I have all my x's in one place, but I have constants on both sides. So I'm going to move this constant 7 by subtracting it, 7 take away 7, over to join the 49. So I have negative 14x equals 42. And then we divide by negative 14. So that x equals, it's going to be negative 3. Okay, so in our grid, we put negative 3, bubble the negative, come down to the 3.